Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We have MetaVerse Lyfe right here with us today. We're going to be talking about the Collectors at Heart series, seasons 1 and 2. I'm so happy to have you right here, MetaVerse Lyfe. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's so good to be here. It's always good to just chat with you. You're such a glowing light.
Same with you, man. It's so great to have you for sure. We've talked a few times in the past, but we haven't talked in a bit because you've been traveling around and you've been doing some really special stuff, specifically with this Collectors at Heart series. Now, you had season 1, which of course is all up on our YouTube channel for everyone to go watch. I'm going to ask you about that, but I'm really excited to talk to you about season 2, which episode 1 and 2 are also premiering right here. But we'll get into season 1 first right here. That went out a couple years ago. I think it was a year ago or so. Yeah, man. Oh my God. I got a chance to see you and meet you on that trip. That was so fun. Talk about that a little bit first. Let's just back up a little bit and, find out how this whole thing started. What came up with the idea for the whole Collectors at Heart series?
It actually started with a road trip. I was planning on going on a road trip anyways, and I just thought it'd be a really fun idea to meet other VeVe fan members and just get to know them on a more personal level. As you know, like we're hanging out online, talking to each other, sharing collectibles and that kind of stuff. But I was just more curious about like, what are they like in real life and what do they collect in real life, right? And get to know people behind the handles per se. So I was very fortunate to be able to talk to VeVe and see if they would be interested in something like this. And they brought me on board to do a documentary series about VeVe fans and what their collecting journeys are like. For me, I'm not really a big collector per se of physical stuff. I've always thought that collecting memories was bigger for me. And so I'm a big events guy, not a big gift guy. And this just felt like the right thing for me to kind of just go out there and collect these memories with people.
That is awesome. And how long were you on the road for, season 1?
Season 1 was about a 5 to 6 week journey. Starting originally in Northern California, working my way through LA and San Diego, and then across to Vegas, and then back to Colorado, and then Salt Lake City, Utah, and then all the way up north, going through Washington and Canada, and then all the way back down. Yeah.
Well, I remember your visit to Vancouver. That was one of the best times ever. You came out, met the fam. It's probably my favorite episode, although the Vegas one was pretty cool too. So when you were doing that video, as we're going to be talking about season 2, that's out now as well. Were you actually planning on doing another series, another season? And do you have plans to continue this, going even beyond?
That's a great question. I think it was originally going to be a one-off for me, but then as I continued to hear people's stories, it was very inspirational and just awesome to meet new people and find out more about them and what they found important to them in their collecting journeys. And also getting pieces of history about stuff that I just knew nothing about. So I found that really interesting. And so when it came for season 2, that was a fun adventure to kind of make it happen. I knew going into it that I wanted to do a European tour because I knew that was a big market for VeVe. A lot of fans are out there. But I almost tricked my way in to getting a season 2 to happen because I went to David and I said, hey, I've got this idea for the end of season 1. And it was me and David watching it on the couch. And I looked at him and he says, wow, that's pretty good. What are we going to do for season 2? And I pitched him on that idea. And he said, yeah, I'd love to do that scene. And so I kind of was like, well, now VeVe's going to do season 2. And so that was how the European tour formed.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Well, I mean, we're really excited to see the whole season. How many episodes are in season 2 as we transition to talk about that?
Well, that's currently an undisclosed amount of episodes, so I'll let you guys all discover it as it goes along. But I am excited because there's a lot of fun stories. It feels like this season really was a step up in a lot of ways, mainly because it was a completely new adventure for me. I'd actually not really been through most of Europe before. I had been across country in the US, so that wasn't unfamiliar territory, where the VeVe fam really stepped up when I was in Europe and was willing to show me not only the touristy stuff, but the things that they loved about their countries and what was special to them and their collecting journeys.
Yeah, that's a big difference, right? Because in season one, you're traveling around most of the United States, and of course, you came up to Canada. But when you're in Europe, you're actually going from different countries, which is cool. It gives you kind of a different perspective and the different collecting communities. I know in episode one, you obviously went to France. I mean, talk about like the most amazing time ever in Paris, right? So what was that experience like as your first destination, and why did you choose to go there as your first landing spot?
Well, I think I chose France because it was more of a scheduling thing of being able to hang out with certain people. I was talking to them ahead of time and realizing when people were available. And I knew that ultimately I wanted to end in London. But when I planned out my trip, if you look at it on a map, it's more like an hourglass, like I kind of bounce all over the place and didn't really follow any direct routes. So that's really just kind of how it formed. But France was really fun. I mean, when I got to France, it was right in the middle of the Rugby World Cup. And so I knew nothing about rugby. And my first day there, I walk in, I'm going to stay at a hostel. I did the whole hostel experience. So I stayed, everywhere I went, I was staying in hostels. And the first place I show up, there's a couple New Zealanders that are there for the World Cup. And so they have me just sit right next to them and they teach me the whole game. And I'm there for probably like 4 hours just watching all these games and just being blown away by the skill. And so that was my initial kind of introduction to it. And then when I went around France, it was just, when you've been in a big city before, you obviously are exposed to the architectural culture and greatness that is in the city. And this was kind of on another level, of things that I wasn't used to. Like, you think about France, you think Eiffel Tower, and that was really all I thought about. But then when I started to go around the city, I was exposed to so much cultural history and just a lot of adventuring. It was me by myself most of the time, bouncing around until I met up with Ben from 101 Pop. And he is such a treasure. You can tell he's a passionate filmmaker himself. And getting to bounce around France with him was a lot of fun. I'm just going to say this now. There are other tales that I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about.
Lots of stuff. Those are for the outtakes, right?
Yeah, the outtake. Yeah, like going to the Moulin Rouge. It was definitely an experience.
Well, it was so cool to see you with Ben, of course. And, one thing we have to talk about before we go any further is the song. Okay, this is absolutely incredible. I know if you haven't seen it yet, everybody, make sure you go and check out our episode 1 and episode 2, of course. But of course, the song, it just absolutely kicks at the beginning. People begin, loving it. How did that come about? Talk about that.
The motto for Collectors at Heart means something different to everybody that I was meeting on this journey. And so I thought I wanted to do something special and write a song that was kind of enveloping the VeVe community. And there are a lot of talented VeVe music artists out there. We've heard their songs kind of float around. And so I was inspired by their work. And so when I wrote the song, I knew that I wanted to use my good buddy, Eric Dash, who is an incredible singer. And I reached out to him and said, hey, I wrote the song. I gave him the tune for the voice. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And he knocked it out quickly. And what was really cool is that he came out to New York Comic Con and was there for the VeVe party and actually got to like sit there and kind of perform it on the dance floor. So yeah, it's been awesome to see people's reactions to the song. I'm glad they like it.
That's absolutely amazing for sure. Well, we're going to be excited to see the rest of it. Just before we go right here, I just wanted to get your final take on, before we see you again, of course, on just what the Collectors at Heart means to you and to the VeVe community and, like your inspiration behind just this whole thing. You touched on it at the beginning, but maybe just wrap it up with how you're feeling about the community right now.
What I have noticed is that the community is very much a family for sure. Like you've heard the term VeVe fam, but they all come together and support each other and lift each other up. And the deeper you connect with them, the more you realize how like talented everybody is and how loving everybody is and adventurous. And it's just so cool that this adventure of Collectors at Heart would not be possible if it weren't for the fact that I was introduced to VeVe 3 years ago, right? And meeting all these people along the way has been very special. And for me, Collectors at Heart for me is people sharing their passion with each other and elevating each other's passions around them. So that's what I think Collectors at Heart means.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for popping on and for previewing episodes 1 and 2 right here. We can't wait to see the rest of it for sure. It's going to be obviously on our socials, everybody up on our channel. You'll be able to interact. Of course, you can follow MetaVerse Lyfe on X as well. Give some feedback there and, let them know how you're doing. And also maybe some ideas for future seasons.
Yeah, there you go. Who knows what the future may bring?
Exactly, right? All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much once again for coming on. Everybody, check out our channel for sure for the whole season 1. Go back and watch the whole thing. It's absolutely amazing. And of course, follow us along for all the episodes of season 2, starting off with 1 and 2, which are live now. Thank you so much, MetaVerse.
No problem. Good to see you, bud.